Today, we've got one of the world's leading experts on global supply chain and logistics, and he's going to talk about a wide variety of topics like things Amazon sellers can keep in mind for Q4, how they can save money on logistics, and expanding to other marketplaces. How cool is that? Pretty cool, I think. Black Box by Helium 10 houses the largest database of Amazon products and keywords in the world outside of Amazon itself. We have over 2 billion products and many millions more keywords from different Amazon marketplaces, from USA to Australia to Germany and more. Use our powerful filters to search through this database for pockets of opportunity that you might want to get into with your first or next product to sell on Amazon. For more information, go to h10.me/blackbox. Don't forget you can save 10% off for life on Helium 10 by using our special code SSP10. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Serious Sellers Podcast by Helium 10. I'm your host, Bradley Sutton, and this is the show that's a completely BS-free, unscripted, and unrehearsed, organic conversation about serious strategies for serious sellers of any level in the e-commerce world. And we've got somebody who helps serious sellers all over the world. I think the third, maybe fourth time he's been on the podcast. Burak, how's it going, man?
I'm great, Bradley. Thanks for having me again.
Are you in Miami right now?
Yes, Miami, Florida.
Okay, I'm wearing my Miami hat. This is like I think an older minor league baseball team or something. That's why I'm wearing my Miami hat today in your honor. But you're originally from Turkey. Did you know that I'm going to Istanbul in a little bit?
I think you mentioned, yes. I'm very excited. I mean, I wish I was there to take you to the best food restaurants,
You'll have to tell me what the what the good ones are. Are there any in Istanbul that for sure like I need to go to, so I can maybe even by myself I can go?
I think you should definitely visit Galata Port. It's a new place. It's right by the water. There are some good kebab places and also definitely baklava. You should try Güllüoğlu, the best baklava in the world.
Oh, perfect. All right, I'm going to those places. By the way, I'm not sure when this podcast is going to go out, but if anybody is in Turkey and is down to meet me on September the 4th or 5th, and you want to go with me to one of these restaurants or take me there, conference I'm speaking at, you can get a link to it at h10.me/Istanbul. h10.me/Istanbul. It'll forward you to the conference I'll be speaking at. So I'd love to do like a little mini Helium 10 meetup over there. Now, we're not here just to talk about Turkish food and Turkish delights. I'm sure we could spend a whole episode, as much as I love food, to talk about that. But, you're one of the leading experts in the world about, shipping and logistics and things like that. So let's just hop right into it. The last time you were on this show was episode 457. So by the way, if anybody wants to get Burak's more of his backstory, actually go back to the very first episode he was on, which is episode 324. You could learn about his origin story, and then 457 we talked about some other topics. But when was 457? I think it was around May, June of last year. So obviously things in logistics change month by month even. What are some of the biggest changes that sellers should be aware of just in general, first of all, in the logistics world, whether it's about pricing or taxes? What can you tell us has been different since the last time you were on this show?
You're right. Things sometimes changes daily base. And, when we started Forsket, it was probably 5 years ago. We were mainly focusing on international shipping, but we became more like a supply chain now. There has been a lot of changes within our company, as well as in the world, in the industry, and with the e-commerce, especially, with the Amazon FBA, plus the new players are coming into the market, TikTok, Temu, Shein, and Shopify. According to the reports, they have lost some revenue. However, a lot of companies, they're trying to enter omnichannel. That's something that I mentioned before we start recording. When it comes to international shipping, actually, international shipping prices increased compared to 6 months ago. I think we have seen the lowest shipping prices last probably a few decades. Full container price was almost $1,500 from Los Angeles, from wow, China to Los Angeles. Now it went back up to $7,000-$8,000. Now we see the range of $5,000-$5,500, which is, I think, a healthy range for both shipping lines, freight forwarders, as well as for the e-commerce and Amazon sellers.
Prices went down, but then prices have been going up again for different things. Obviously, there's that thing that happened last year in the Red Sea and things like that. So obviously there's always, random things, COVID or there's a container ship blocking the whole Suez Canal or something like that is, those would obviously have an effect. But the recent price increases in shipping, like what is that attributed to? Because like, is that because of the war that's happening, or is it something else?
Actually, this was sort of happened, I would say, inorganically. One of the reason was the shipping lines. All these worldwide companies like Hyundai, Zim, Evergreen. I'm sure everybody's like familiar with that big logo, block the Suez Channel. They have canceled a lot of scheduled vessels because maybe 34%, 40% of the container vessel was not 100% fulfilled. Basically, they were losing a lot of money, so they decided to roll over one of the week's shipping schedule to the next one. So basically, there was not enough demand, but there was a lot of supply. Obviously, then the prices start going down. Basically, in order to save money on the fuel, maybe the crew, maybe the insurance, so they started to cancel a lot of scheduled vessels. And obviously, this caused a big chaos in the market. A lot of containers went from China to other places like Europe, US, did not come back. Then we start having container shortage. So this is something started organically. There was not enough demand in the marketplaces like in the US, not like North America, USA, Canada, because of, I would say, maybe high inflation, or companies like Temu, AliExpress start to do very cheap price drop shipping from China, which is something interesting that we maybe talk later. Temu is start entering US market, start working with local 3PLs to acquire Amazon sellers to start selling, the ones which are qualified, obviously, start selling on Temu. So they will start doing local deliveries with a shorter period of delivery times, which I believe they will try to attract surplus. What is surplus? The product that already has been sitting in the US for a long time. Amazon sellers or their wholesalers, they cannot sell it, so they need to liquidate the product. So Temu is basically saying that, hey, use our platform to liquidate them, not on the retail price, but heavily discounted price, maybe 60%, 70%. So I think all these things happening last 2 years after COVID, when we saw a very big peak, when the Amazon sellers were making really good money, but then the sales drop, a couple of different reasons. And I see that it's the same thing is affecting the international shipping prices and fulfillment prices. Things are really very different right now compared to even 6 months ago.
Obviously, this has been the year of crazy Amazon new fees and new announcements, be it inbound placement fees. And so I want to talk just a little bit about that first. Like in your, you're handling both sides, be it, shipping side, be it logistics side, warehousing and things. What have you seen as far as how this has changed what Amazon sellers are doing? Like, for example, me, I've got my own warehouse, but still now I'm being very mindful of how many, what kind of boxes I'm putting in. Like maybe before I was only trying to do, a certain number of shipments, but now I'm like, no, I got to have minimum 5, of one box, or I need to try and increase to 15 because I got to avoid that placement fee. But what have you noticed as far as your clients? How is their practices different because of some of these new fees?
Man, it's a really, really long topic, actually. When it comes to make it shorter version, when Amazon came up with this, the idea was start charging sellers for all those distribution fees that they need to ship to many small warehouses across fulfillment centers across the nation, so the end user can receive the products not in 2 days, but 1 day, even maybe sometimes half day. But we have seen a lot of case studies, actually. Our customers, they created 5 shipments. And when, let's say, 100 cartons, Amazon asked you to ship 50 cartons to Texas, we saw that the final delivery address Amazon distributed these products were still Pennsylvania or Florida or still North Carolina, maybe. So what Amazon was actually telling sellers in theory, hey, split the shipments to 5 locations because that's going to be closer to the buyers, that was not really the case.
Yeah.
I guess they're still working on a lot of optimization structure. Obviously, this was like a new project for them, but there has been a lot of confusing for sellers. A lot of sellers kind of felt like they have to use Amazon Global Logistics to avoid those placement fees. But then when they tried to book the shipment, Amazon Global Logistics did not arrange the pickup 3 weeks, 4 weeks time. then they have charged people wrong HTS code. So a lot of sellers, they paid very high tax and duty instead of some other lower charges that they're supposed to receive. I mean, obviously, we talked to a lot of people. Some people, they have good experience with Amazon Global Logistics. Some people have bad experiences. But in my opinion, that was not really fair for Amazon to tell people, hey, if you use AGL, then you will not be paying any of these fees. But then if you don't, then you have to pay for it. I guess I understand they have invested billions of dollars into this fulfillment centers, supply chain, logistics. So they want to leverage the power of their seller, the seller power, I would say. But I think I would not put all my eggs in the same basket. So I would not just use AGL and AWD. AWD also a new program Amazon has launched like 2 years, but since they're pushing a lot harder right now. And I think the fourth quarter will be a very tough test for Amazon with all the check-in processes, transferring products between the fulfillment centers, making sure that they become available. I believe most of our customers now start looking into FBM options. Number one, very high FBA fees. Number two, all these delays with AGL, AWD, fulfillment center transfers. Obviously, Amazon is going to prioritize the products that are already sitting in the fulfillment centers. They will prioritize to ship the products first, not receive the products first. So that always has been the case. So if you ask my opinion, it's going to be a tough year for a lot of sellers to get and understand these FBA fees, but also try to be profitable. That's something that we've been talking about. It doesn't make sense anymore to say, hey, I'm 7-8 figure seller, but how much profit I'm making. So I believe to make Plan B, Plan C is very, very important, Bradley.
Me having my own warehouse, and obviously I can repack things, and I do smaller quantities. I can easily make sure to send to 4 or 5 locations to get that, to skip the low inventory fee. But if I'm sending in containers, and before I would send to Amazon directly, I pretty much have no option, right? Like I am going to get that low inventory fee no matter what, unless I send to a 3PL first and they divide it. Or am I thinking of that wrong? Since I don't send containers directly to Amazon, I don't know. But is that correct? Like pretty much anybody who's sending full containers or containers that can't be broken up or shipments that can't be broken up, they're forced into this fee.
Yes, kind of. But we have done some case studies to see like what really makes sense. If it makes sense to ship, because Amazon Global Logistics is also not charging sellers the market fees. They're charging actually a lot higher. So if you're looking at door-to-door shipment from China to one of the most popular Amazon FBA fulfillment center, let's say ONT8, which is in Los Angeles, California, Riverside, if you use us, it's going to cost $6,000 door-to-door, but with Amazon Global Logistics, they're charging $8,000 or $9,000. So basically, they're kind of charging a little higher so that they can use probably that money to distribute the products within 3 to 4 different locations. And if it is LCL, then less than full container, yes, you can actually choose to use your own freight forwarder, and price is very similar. But one of the things that we realized, their FC transfer times a lot longer than using an independent freight forwarder. So which means if you ship with AGL, it will maybe be fully delivered to Amazon, fully check-in, all received 90 days, versus you use your own freight forwarder, probably it will be delivered and checked in 45 to 50 days. So is it matter for you? Maybe it doesn't really matter because the sales is not that fast right now, unfortunately. I didn't see really much Amazon sales recently saying that, hey, I'm running out of inventory all the time. I hope it's a good problem. I hope some of the people having that problem. But majority of the people are saying, hey, I'm not in the rush, so I'm okay to take these fees. But then you should really understand the cost of actually paying everything in advance and your cash tied up to, if you're using a loan, if you're not using just cash, if you're, withdrawing some money with, Amazon financing or third party money, if you get funding. So you need to understand you're maybe paying monthly 2 to 3% because these are short-term funds. So probably charging 20-25% annually. So every month you're paying 2 to 3%, something that you're not selling. So that's basically 3% minus from your actual margin. So there are so many things to consider. I'm trying to explain as basic as possible. So definitely understand and see what is better for your business. And if I were a big seller, I wouldn't send all of my inventory to FBA. I would keep some of my inventory in a 3PL close to Amazon, and send it in a smaller batches and more frequent.
Yeah.
This way, I'm not going to be paying high inventory fees, the storage fees. And more importantly, I can test other marketplaces. I can try to drive traffic. I will do FBM. I can do TikTok shops or maybe even a Walmart. So it will give you more flexibility instead of sending everything to Amazon FBA. And if one day somehow your listings get suspended or hijacked or your sales is down for some reason, then you'll be like, oh my God, what I'm going to do? Versus you have some inventory in a different location and you can start considering some other options. Hey, look, I'm doing a helium 10.
Good. Oh, look at that. I love it. Helium 10 pause.
Helium 10.
We got
10 pause.
You know what's up.
We have a guest.
I love it. I love it. All right. So now we talked about, new inventory fees that Amazon sellers are having to do. And then the question about whether to go AGL and things like that. But you also mentioned like fulfill by merchant. Now for me, I do all of my products both. Like I have 2 SKUs for every product. I have FBM and FBA. And I always tell people to do that. Not necessarily anything to do with logistics, but just because, there's still some people out there who don't have Amazon Prime. And then especially if we're talking about products that are priced below $25, they actually Prime prices them out of it. So like if you're only FBA and you've got like a $24 product, when that person checks out, it's going to add like $8 shipping. And now that $24 product became $32 product and you just lost that sale probably, to somebody else. And then, so for that person, I always have a SKU. The buy box is actually the FBM SKU because it's only I'll do $24.97 with shipping, free shipping. I can fulfill for almost the same as Amazon, considering that I don't have to send it to Amazon. I don't have to send Amazon pick and pack fees. But that's my reason for doing FBM. But are you saying that you're actually seeing some sellers like go to seller fulfilled Prime and not do FBA, or you're just saying they're just forgetting Prime at all and having a listing that's strictly FBM?
For larger items, we see sometimes only FBM because some people say that, hey, Amazon is taking 50 to 55% of my sales price. Like for large items, FBA is extremely expensive. And I feel like a lot of buyers are more price sensitive recently compared to 2 years ago. That's real. Most of our customers, they have both FBA and FBM. They do most likely what you do. Because you're right. I mean, some people, they don't need the product in one day. They want to do the cheaper version. So why wouldn't you add an additional strategy to your listing? And it's your own money versus paying Amazon. A 3PL will handle that a lot cheaper. And then if it is not a big item, your shipping price is not going to be that expensive. You can still buy the shipping within Amazon, which is great. You don't have to have your own UPS FedEx account. But majority of our customers, they want to test new marketplaces. I know that some of our customer, they're investing into their own websites. And when they get the order, they drive traffic, they convert, then it's much easier to launch a product with your own email marketing, like with your own email database, which you've been talking about, how to launch a product, like all the honeymoon period, Amazon changing the algorithms. A lot of our customers also, they have problem with launching a brand new product on Amazon. It's not that easy as it used to be like a few years ago. So people are testing different marketplaces and different channels to see if they can get a better ROI. Obviously, Amazon still has, it's very interesting actually, when we see the Amazon's quarterly earning report, we see that Amazon is keep growing their profit, number of buyers, their revenue. Obviously, a big part of it from the seller's fees. But there is a fact that Amazon does not want to leave the market share to other players that aggressively come in, especially out of China. We see that a new Amazon program is going to roll out, which is drop shipping from China. I don't think that's a great idea, but I think just Amazon wants to keep.
I don't think any Amazon sellers based in the US think that's a good idea.
Yeah, not only Amazon sellers, but I think it's also not fair for other traditional importers who have like a warehouse, people in here, they're paying tax and payrolls. That's my personal opinion. Obviously, it's not a yes or no, white or black topic.
Sure.
A lot of people have their own opinion, but eventually, I know that we have some importers like traditional wholesalers that their business are down 30-40% just because a lot of people buying products directly from China, and those companies, of course, they have a cheaper price. They don't have local expenses, all these utility fees, the warehouse rents, and etc. We all know that it all adds up. So I think it's going to be a tough year for next year for a lot of Amazon sellers. That's why I think it's a really good idea to start considering different strategies and different plans for increasing the revenue and profitability.
We're heading close to Q4. Amazon's made different announcements as far as, hey, have your inventory in by, I think one of them is like, if you want it for Black Friday, you got to have it in by October 19th or something like that. They had said. And what are your predictions as far as like, is this year the same thing as every year where Amazon has a deadline and it's, you got to kind of stick to it, or do you notice anything from some of these announcements where you think there's something that sellers need to be aware of going into this year's Q4?
I think last week they announced a new Q4's delivery structure and delivery rules. Some of them are the restriction with FBA delivery appointments, reduction in capacity limits, holiday peak fulfillment fees. So all these are basically saying that the Amazon sellers need to plan better when they're going to send their inventory, how they're going to send it. And, the thing, what Amazon wants you to do is actually send your inventory as early as possible. So this way they can charge you a lot higher for the fourth quarter with the maximum amount of, the low inventory fee. Because even if you don't ship it to Amazon, you're still paying that inventory inventory fee, because Amazon thinks that, hey, I allocate some space for you according to your sales history. Now, whether you ship it or not, I'm going to still charge you that. So we have a lot of sellers. I think they still don't know exactly how this fee structure is going to work for seasonal products. We had a client, they shipped like 4 or 5 containers for Christmas lights, Christmas tree decorations. So they don't have enough space right now in Amazon FBA. So I think that is a problem for sellers, like they sell seasonal products. So basically, like what Amazon is saying versus what they're doing, I think it's a little bit opposite, because you cannot really ship as much as you want. But then Amazon is saying, hey, send me all this product. I want to charge you more. But at the same time, you cannot do it. So I don't think there's going to be a big solution for these people. The best to do is creating the FBM option to make sure you don't get charged all these high FBA fees, especially for the long term. And God forbid, if you miss that season, you can't sell out everything, and you have some inventory left over in January, you definitely need to take the product back. Otherwise, your fees are going to be very, very high.
In the past, you've talked about ways that, without even doing anything major, Amazon sellers can possibly save money. Like they're probably doing something wrong or not taking into consideration the right tariff or they're letting their freight forwarder take advantage of them in a certain way. Can you remind everybody out there what are some easy steps they can take, without having to completely overhaul their entire system, of where they could save a little bit of money potentially here or there just by maybe doing a little mini audit on their SOPs or something like that?
I really think that they should go download their FBA fees and to see how much they're spending on their storage. That's one thing that Amazon is going to hit everyone really bad this year, especially in the fourth quarter. And what is the average age of their inventory stays in the FBA before they sell out? I know that there are a lot of people, their sales decrease. I think one of the best ways to do is have a 3PL option, ship everything to your 3PL, and then ship it frequently to Amazon FBA. Because yes, you will be maybe paying that placement fees, but at the same time, you can manage your listings. Somehow, we have seen last quarter, that a lot of shipments delivered to Amazon, but Amazon took way longer to check them in. So we had some clients that they ship product to Amazon FBA, it's delivered, but Amazon never checked in. They waited the busy season to pass. So that was pretty bad for some people, and they were selling like toys, or I remember we had a client that we shipped for them puzzles, but Amazon checked them in like very late, so they had to like sell it for a cheaper price. So you should plan it, sending your inventory as early as possible on FBA, and keep constantly shipping to Amazon FBA to avoid the fees. I think the big saving this year can be from the FBA fees. Obviously, check the freight prices, compare AGL with other freight forwarders to deliver the products instead of one place to 5 location. That's a good way to do it. HTS codes is a great way to check that. But I think this year's big jackpot is going to be FBA fees.
We've been going over, some beginner strategy, some advanced strategy, but if some of this is a little bit over your head, or you want to just get a nice overview for you or your team about logistics and shipping, Burak actually is in Freedom Ticket 4.0. So if you guys want to, have your team go over some of the basics and some advanced stuff too. Go into your freedom ticket inside of Helium 10, and then click on the week or the group of modules called supply chain and logistics, and then you're going to see some different modules here that Burak has done that will help you with that. So make sure anybody who's a Helium 10 member, make sure to go into Freedom Ticket and be able to see it. Do you remember some of the other things that you talked about in that module, just to let people know what to expect in there?
I think yes. One of the things that related to FBA fees are the product size. Whether you can make your product smaller, so Amazon will charge you smaller tiers. I know that we used to do some free audit for the FBA fees. That what we realize is actually customer products are a different size than what Amazon is actually charging them. So Amazon's supposed to charge them lower. So definitely order your competitor's product to see their packaging, so that you can redesign your maybe package. This is a little bit my background. I lived in China 8 years. I've done a lot of sourcing, so I'm kind of familiar with like how to make things like lighter, maybe smaller, maybe if you're paying too high for the duty and tax because your product has a different material. So definitely, I would say order your competitor's product to see this box, the size of the box. Maybe they fold the product, they maybe made it smaller. It's definitely helping to see what are the product sizes, master cartons, and maybe even labeling and maybe inserting some special cards from the competitors. Obviously, not asking 5-star reviews, but you could see some other maybe conversions that they are doing. Maybe because you have other products in the same category, you don't know whether your customers have they love your brand or not, but you can actually let them know that you're selling some other products that can be related. So I think it's a good idea to order competitors' product to see if you can save anything on the size of the product, which can save you money on shipping, fulfillment in the 3PL, as well as Amazon FBA. So it could be up to 10 to 15%, which is going to be, when you look at it annually, it's a huge saving.
What else do you have for us? We've got sellers of all levels here, and I think nowadays, maybe people are thinking about some of these newer marketplaces like TikTok Shop, which now has Fulfilled by TikTok, and then Temu is now trying to recruit U.S. sellers. I'm trying to get on the Temu platform just to see how the process goes myself. But what are some things you think when we think multi-channel? Gone are the days where people can just say, hey, I'm only going to sell on Amazon. And then maybe there are some days where it's like, oh no, I only need to worry about Amazon and Walmart. So 2024, 2025, I think it's the year of the many marketplaces trying to make a name for themselves. Right. What are some trends that you're seeing? What is some advice you have for other sellers?
I think the Temu strategy is very different than Walmart. If I want my products, because if you think about it, Walmart has thousands of stores across US and Canada, and even in Mexico now, they're trying to acquire sellers, and they have been very active. We go to a lot of different events, Prosper Show and others. You see that all the time, Walmart's booth there. They're trying to acquire D2C brand events, like a shop talk and stuff. What I see is if you want your products to be in a long term, maybe one day a big brand acquires you because you're in a niche category. Let's say you're in a cosmetic, you're doing something maybe just special for lips or for some special type of skin. I don't know. You could be acquired by big brand if your product can be on the shelves, like physical stores. We have so many customers in the past that they started only online, but then they were invited to, as a test run, to start selling on the retailers. Like, it could be Dick's Sports, it could be Walmart. If you're in a sports category, those retailers are trying to get some good brands on their shelves, which can add a lot of value to your branding. And people who see you actually on the physical store, they can go and buy online, because I personally love to compare the price in a retailer versus online. It could be Target. It helps you to find and give your brand a big shout out, and people can go and find you, and then wholesalers can find you. Maybe like a retailer chains can find you. So there's actually both options. I think you're right. I mean, there's so many options. It makes really sense to enter all of these platforms to reach out to maximum amount of audience. But obviously, you need to understand how to manage that inventory, because different market channels requires maybe different UPC codes, which one of our customers, they had an issue. What the UPC codes the factory is putting actually has not been scanned by the retailer. So the UPC codes was not valid. So they had to bring the products back, relabel it. Baby steps are good. If you're a brand new seller, Amazon FBA is very good way to start, but maybe it's not that profitable as it used to be. Definitely look for the FBA options, and then whatever makes more sense. But I would definitely keep one more sales channel, one more marketplace. Temu is not the great one yet because either you need to have a special invite. We have so many people actually asking about the Temu. Either you have to be invited by a friend or referred by Temu team directly, so you can actually send an email to Temu. But I think in the long term, it will be great to invest into your own website because you can easily launch different products. Create your own website. You can do it on Shopify, and you will have definitely better margins in that. And some people, they have their own website. They even never want to go to Amazon because they don't want to compete on the price. We all know that how Amazon works. So it's really a long-term plan. I don't think anyone can really get rich that fast anymore through the e-commerce. I think it's all about branded strategy, and it makes more sense to invest in your own website and Shopify. Obviously, Amazon has the traffic. It's very hard to bring the traffic. It's not hard, but it's going to be expensive and not converting. But I know that Shopify is working a lot on how to convert more on the products that left in the cart, how they can have better conversion. It's very interesting. Recently, I see that installment options pops up on many websites. If you're selling an expensive product, I was going to buy a kayak for summertime. It was like $800. I'm like, I don't want to pay $800. Then it pops up. Hey, you want to pay in 6 times? I was like, okay, but I still didn't buy. But it made me think about, okay, that's doable.
You're a little bit more hesitant.
Yes,
exactly. You're a
exactly.
little bit more on the fence.
Exactly. So looking for different channels definitely is a good strategy. And eventually, it's your own business. We have seen a lot of changes with Amazon algorithm. Maybe this new AI tool that Amazon is offering actually messes up a lot of people's listings. Have you tried using Amazon AI? Did it affect your ranking on keywords?
No, I'm not touching that. I don't want. I opted out of that immediately because I don't want Amazon doing anything because the Amazon AI is nowhere near where it needs to be. All right, so before we get into your last strategy of the day, just heads up for everybody out there, you want to get some more information about what Foresket does, go to h10.me/Foresket. That'll take you right to our hub website where you can open up a contact with them right there. How else, other than your website, can people find you on the interwebs, like your Instagram or LinkedIn? You want to promote it all?
Yes, absolutely. And they can subscribe to my YouTube channel. We are recording a lot of real case studies and scenarios, what's going on. And we're going to a lot of different in-person events. We will be in Amazon Accelerate in Seattle. We will go to other events throughout the year, so they can come and meet us in person most of the events, as well as find us on Foresket.com.
All right, what's your last 30 or 60-second tip for our sellers out there?
Be careful about your landing costs. That's something that a lot of people, they don't really pay attention. Profit is everything. Bad profit means bad cash flow, and bad cash flow means that you can't be sustainable in your business. So understand your landing cost. Look at your FBA fees, how you can save, and what's the strategy. Are you paying too much for your international shipments? Are you paying too much for your FBA fees? Are you paying too much for long-term storage? So find out where you can make optimizations, where you can make savings. I believe this business is open to different optimizations, and every different aspect you get closer, you can find 1 or 2% saving. And if you find 3 to 5 different ways of savings, you can save up to 10%. So talk to the experts. Don't forget to subscribe to the Helium 10's newsletter. I see a lot of interesting topics actually about that. So being part of the community, it's the most important things. And whenever you have a problem, ask the right people, get the right answer to fix your problems.
Awesome. Well, Burak, thank you for coming on here. I'll let you know what I think about those restaurants you told me, and then I'll see you at Amazon Accelerate in Seattle, and hopefully some other sellers that are listening to this episode. And then we'll definitely have you back on in 2025, and let's see what else has changed hopefully in the world of shipping and logistics.
Looking forward to see you, Bradley.